Hello, students. Welcome to Challenge 4 Shapes, Layers, and a Holiday. Yes, this time we're aiming for Christmas. So, if you go into your assignments in Google Classroom and you see Challenge 4, you'll see something like this. Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to use Photoshop to create a Christmas tree. The finished product should include 4 layers and colors, including a tree, a trunk, a star, a light, a decoration. You know what? I lied. That's 5 layers. In addition, you will demonstrate the use of the following in your shapes: different kinds of stroke, use of gradient in your fill. Now, I've attached a copy of the original PSD file here and a PNG that you can open up and look at so that you can have a good idea of what the final product should look like. Most notable, we're going to be using polygons to create stars, triangles, and we're going to be using strokes here to create these funky looking lights, and then custom shapes to add these Christmas tree ornaments, all within their own layers. Now, to get started, we're going to go to New File, and we're going to create a portrait and create. And we are recording. So first we're going to go over here. We're going to look at triangle, polygon, line tool, and custom shapes. Up until this point, we've used ellipse, we've used rectangle, and we can use either a combination of triangle or polygon to make our Christmas tree. So first we're going to go to triangle. I'm going to choose our color, which is, of course, what color? Green. And I'm going to hold down Shift to make a nice even triangle. And we'll see something like this that we can move and put into our document. And we're going to rename this tree. Now, tree is not just one triangle, although if you really simplified it, it could be. We want to add more than one layer. And to do this, we're going to go start exploring this cool tool called Polygon. Now, if we checked it out, you'll notice that Polygon gives you a couple of choices for a lot of different options. Number one is to create, or is how many sides to our polygon. So right off the bat, it says 5. If I did that, you'll see that I get a nice star here. Don't want a star though. Try this again. I'm going to click with my polygon tool in the space. I'm going to put 3 for 3 sides to a triangle. And I'm going to, where it says star ratio 50%, we're going to put 100, not 1000. And you'll see something that looks pretty much like our own triangle, a little bit different. Here's the thing, we want to try and get it into this layer though, so we're going to go back here. I'm going to go to combine. We're looking for that plus sign. We're going to click, we're going to drag. We're going to make something about the same, but slightly smaller. Right now, it doesn't really matter where our triangles are placed. We just want about a series of, let's call them 4 triangles, maybe 3. And we're going to stack them on top of each other. Again, I could tell that everything is working properly because it's all in one layer. I would suggest instead of choosing between polygon and triangle, you choose one and stick with it. Now, I'm going to grab my path selection tool and start moving things. You'll notice if I click and double click on specific shapes, it'll allow me to move them around and edit them to some degree. Make this a little bit bigger. But basically, the idea is pretty simple. Trying to make a nice tree shape here. That looks crooked, but that's okay. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time making this perfect. Is this me or does it look crooked? I think it looks crooked. Oh well. Good enough. So now that I've got all of my shapes on one layer, I want to make sure, I want this to look super extra awesome. So I'm going to go up to here where it says fill, and I could change the color to anything I want, but I want to make this look extra special in still green. So I'm going to go up here where it says gradient. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this. I think the easiest way, if you've got a box like this, if you click on it, you should see something like this, which will allow you to edit your gradient right away. The other option, if you do not see this, is to go up here and click where it says uh, new gradient process, and you'll get this in its own window. Since I've got this here, I'm going to try and do this the easy way. Again, you might have to do a new gradient preset through here, but hopefully not. If you've never used this before, sometimes it could be a little bit of a pain to get started. What you'll see up here, we've got opacity. Down here, we've got colors. And in between, we've got some controls that allows us to control what our final gradients will look like. You'll notice that if I click below here, it also allows me to add in another color. Speaking of colors, this doesn't look like a proper Christmas tree. So I'm going to double click on here, choose a nice shade of green. And here we'll try to do the same with a mid-tone. And then at the top here, we are going to go through something that is very light, but still a little bit green. Down here, you'll see we've got a couple of different options on how that gradient comes out. We've got a linear, which is top to bottom, radial, which comes from the center, angle, got an angle to it, reflected, and diamond. At this point, really doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm going to stick with linear because I like having a little bit of light at the top and getting darker towards the bottom. And I could also change the angle through here. But again, I'm just going to leave it pretty vanilla because actually this is what I want. I do encourage you guys to play with this and to get comfortable with these settings. Now, I've got, and you'll notice, of course, all those little blue lines disappear once I click off my layer. The next thing I'm going to want is a star. So I'm going to go back to my handy dandy polygon tool. This time I'm going to go to yellow just to help keep things separate. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to undo. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to add another layer. And I'm going to make sure this goes on top. I'll show you why in a second. I'm going to click up here to see what my options are. This time I do not want a triangle, so I'm going to change the number of sides to 5. And where it says star ratio, I'm going to put it to 50%. And basically what that will do is create something that looks like this. The 50% means that approximately halfway in between the center of the shape in here, it'll create these indents, which looks like a star, which is awesome. Just what I'm looking for. Oops. I need a move tool or a path selection tool to move this around. And I'm just going to put this on top of my Christmas tree. Now, this is sort of nice, a bit blah. Does blend in, though. Let's see if we could change this to add another gradient. So we're going to go gradient. Going to change our colors. Let's pick a dark or yellow, something like this. And we're going to go to a very light yellow over here. And this time I'm going to do a radial distribution. You know what? Let's see. Let's click off on this to see how it looks. It's not too bad. If you want to make it stand out a little bit more, yeah, let's call this our star layer. You can also add a stroke. Let's try orange. Barely see it. We'll make that a little bit bigger. Let's go for a 2-point stroke. Don't want it to be overwhelming. And we could do that with any shape here too if we wanted to. So we wanted to add an outline to this one. We could do the same thing. Go up here. Let's add a really dark green. And we'll make this one a 3-point stroke. And that's a little bit more visible. And this is largely the purpose of a stroke. It's just to help things become a little bit more easier to see. But wait, there is more. Another thing that Christmas trees have are lights. So we're going to add a light layer to our tree. Go over here. We're going to choose a nice red, reddish. And next we're going to go to our line tool. And if I click and drag right now, you're not going to see much. And that's okay. We just need to know how this works. Oops, undo. So undo. There we go. I was about to cause a catastrophe because I was in the wrong layer. Let's make sure I'm in the lights layer. Try that again. Click and drag. Now, we don't have a stroke on this one, but let's add one and see what happens. You'll notice as soon as that I added to that, it created a stroke in black. We want red. And quite frankly, we don't need a fill so much on this one, so we could get rid of it if we really wanted to. And again, this is our transparent, the tool for transparency, the white square with the stroke through it. Now you're thinking, blah, boring, it's just a line. Well, true believers, there's another way to change things up here, and that's dashes and dots. So I'm going to add some dots. And then I'm going to try and make them really, 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 really big. And you can sort of see you get that these little bulby shaped things happening. And this is sort of what I wanted. I wanted to make it look like we've got a string of light bulbs on our tree. You'll notice as I move it around that the dots change. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want you guys to be familiar with the process. Oh, I made an extra line. That's not going to work. Hold down my shift key and start, click, start dragging, then I can let go. Same idea. Let's do another layer. Hold down shift, click, drag. So now it looks like I've got a couple of strings of lights. But you're thinking, wait, Mr. Stremecki, there could be so much more. What about the ornaments, the things that make a tree, a Christmas tree, oh so exciting? So now we're going to add an ornament layer. Ornament. That's not how we spell it. And we don't have to put layer. Ornament. Now, this is where we have a really good, cool tool which can add quite a bit. First of all, I'm going to change my color to something different. Let's go for a blue. Let's go for purpley blue. And once I go to my custom tool or custom shapes, you'll notice that I get a funky looking little line over here. And so if I click on this, you'll see all these different options. Mine is, it's sort of showing up a couple of different times, but if you do a little bit of hunting, you'll see that I've got some options for trees. Why didn't I know about that in the beginning? Mine looks better. Actually, I wonder. Holy, that looks complicated. You know what? That reminds me. I forgot to do it. Trunk. So, wow, that's a lot of points. The cool thing about these custom shapes is that you can add all sorts of things to it. And it's a quick and simple way to add to something that you're working on. Meh. We're going for stylized here. So let's try this again. Custom shape. What are my other choices? Boots, boats. Let's add some boats. How about a sailboat or two? Yeah, because apparently I like sailing. So I'm going to make sure that I'm on my. Oh, my ornament layer went away. My new layer. I'm going to click, drag, and you'll see something like this. And I got a boat. Still a little bit hard to see, so I'm going to add a white stroke on the outside this time. Oops, it's too. And in the same way that we did with our other shapes, I'm going to add a few more shapes on here. Let's try this one. I'm going to change the name of that later so it says sailboats. Now, if you look at the criteria that I'm looking for, I would like probably around at least 5 different custom shapes. Why? Because there's usually more than 1 or 2 on a Christmas tree, but 2. Once you get into it, it's relatively easy to do and to move around. And we want a nice looking tree. Okay, but boats are getting boring. Let's try something else. What other choices do we have here? Leaf trees, wild animals. Let's add some wild animals. Okay, I'm going to choose this ostrich, because who doesn't need an ostrich on their tree? Holding down shift so I get the plus. Click and drag. Let's go to another one. How about this camel? Because there's camels in the Christmas story. Camel! One more. How about this monkey? Everybody loves a monkey. So if I click off here, you'll see a preview of what this looks like. I'm going to rename this again to ornaments. And now I'm just going to play a little bit with the locations of my ornaments. Put my monkey at the top of the tree. Let's do sailboat level here. And then we've got camel and ostrich. Best friends since forever. Now this is looking pretty good. I think there's only one thing missing. How does this thing stand up? We need a trunk. Color is a trunk, probably brown. So I'm going to add one more layer. And I'm going to draw me a trunk. This one you could use using a rectangle. Something like this. And again, if we click off, you'll see what this should look like. Oops. And we're going to rename this trunk. And if I wanted to, I could make this into a gradient again. Same idea. Let's go really dark. Let's go really light. And one last thing, just to make sure you understand the importance of where your layers are. If you have things in the wrong order, this will look very, very different. Things will disappear. Oops. So play around with where things are to make sure that they are where you want. Because right now, if I clicked off, you will see, oh my God, all my ornaments disappeared. But they're there. They're just in the wrong order. So I'm going to make sure my tree is bottom or next to bottom, ornaments near the top, and my trunk is very, very much at the bottom. And as soon as I do that, everything is where it should be. So I hope this, I know this is a little bit long. I guess we're going to save as. And we're going to save this to my desktop. I hope you guys, I know this is a little bit long and a little bit more complicated, but I'm hoping you guys are getting a little bit better idea of how this stuff works with practice. So please try this on your own. If you have any questions, please contact me and let me know. I'll talk to you soon.